What's going on, my crew? This is Rusty, and welcome to another episode of Rusty Builds. In today's episode, we are going to be talking a little bit about this little village here, and making a plan for what we want to build here. I was noticing this is a somewhat unique area, and it reminds me of some of the Greek cities back in the day. So I wanted to do a Greek-themed build here. But we've got these here, which reminds me of some sort of like cypress tree. By the way, this is really not too far from our farm over there. And then just a lot of desert and a little bit of fertile land here in the savannah. But overall, a really good landscape, valley-like thing going on here. So what I wanted to do was, on top of building some sort of palace-like structure, I wanted to deconstruct this town and reconstruct it, keeping our villagers safe and everything. And I thought that doing it in this desert would be probably fairly easy, just because of the fact that most of the resources are like right here. So most of these buildings we're going to destroy and make a new one, but I'm thinking I'd love to get some ideas from you guys of some building structures that we can build. Obviously, I want to build some sort of temple, some sort of a palace structure, and some sort of a marketplace and bathhouse somewhere along this area. Now, what's also cool that we need to consider is we're going to need... Oh, look. There's a bee. Where's your home, little fella? One thing we also need to consider is the fact that we've got the ability, because this is such a light texture. This is a little cool caving system. That might be a good spot for a mine over here. Because this is such a light texture, we can grab some sheep and get some cyan and brighter textures and put them in here, and it's going to look great. And we've got another bee right up there. I wonder if those are the bees that belong over in my spot. Interesting. So, I think this is going to be a good build, and I wanted to just spend today kind of doing a little bit of planning and looking around at ideas for different things. Seeing how much of the desert that we've got here, and yeah, we've got the potential of right over here making a little oasis in this desert. The only thing is that I don't necessarily love is this spot right here, where it literally turns from desert into swamp. It doesn't seem too realistic. But yeah, that would be a great place for a little oasis. Probably going to need to get some of those horses. I saw there was a couple horses. Wouldn't be bad for us to get one. Oh, here we go. Here's a real oasis. That's what I like to see. So we could build a really nice little oasis type thing right here, which is probably pretty far from there. But that'll give us opportunity to sort of maybe make something interesting, like way for the travelers to go back and forth. But they do have fertile land on the other side there, so I'd like to just sort of get started on this project. I don't want to do too much of, like, there's another caving system, not as cool as the first one. I'd like to not spend too much time on terraforming or anything at the start, because that usually makes up a pretty large project, even though it does make sense to do terraforming first, just to sort of get that out of the way before you make, you know, your structures. But I want to focus on the things that make sense and end up being what I have the inspiration for, which right now is this sort of deserty town over here. So if I had actually spent time breeding the sheep on my farm, I could have lots of different colors to work with to line out the structure of the town. But I think the first thing we're going to do is just knock down a bunch of these villages, buildings. These, for instance, these big ones, I don't think are really as big as they seem. Once it's daytime, we can take a look. Alright. So if we come over here... Okay, so this does go up. Gotcha. I'm really not a big fan of these towers. Really tall, but not much to them. Yeah, so I'm thinking that we'll start off by getting rid of all of this stuff. That's what I'll do off camera. And then I want to line a very clear wall in the city. And then we're going to have water coming from here and going down and then into the savannah, right down through the middle. And that's going to be an open river sort of thing that I think would be is a really cool effect to kind of almost be an aqueduct. We'll have a little well in the middle somewhere, and then inside the wall city, against the walls, we'll have a temple. I think against this, we'll have a a palace, and that'll be made with a lot of these trees, the dark oak, with the sandstone, which will be great contrast between the two. And that way we can get rid of some of this, maybe replace some sand and kind of give a better transition, just a little bit of terraforming. Out there in the savannah, we're going to build a couple farms, and yeah, then just wall the city in a little bit with sandstone. And I want it to be big and open, but I want to, where it's closed, have a bunch of houses really clustered in together to make it, give it a sort of crowded feel And hopefully we'll get enough villagers built in where that's going to really pop out. So instead of having this space between the houses, you'd have a house with the pig farm, right? And then another house right here, right up against it. And then another house and another house, but they'll be taller. And we'll sort of have stairs up to the next house and really give it a sprawling city feel. We'll replace some of the sandstone with dark oak. We don't have any dark oak on us, but I want to see what this looks like. I want to make sure the contrast isn't too high either. Alright, so we'll take a look-see here. Just switch out this bottom flooring with the dark oak. And that looks pretty dang good. Not sure how I feel about the acacia. I guess it's alright. But this looks good. Especially if we go ahead and get some buttons here for some decoration along the top. Like that. Really makes it look nice. So you use a combination of a couple different things. That, I think, is more of like an Tuscan desert feel rather than a Arabian desert feel, which is more along the lines of what I want to go with, even though they've got some of that right there. So we're going to go with more circular dome type shapes, but I need to go and take a look. Just to see what we're looking at for different designs and stuff. Alright, so I just did a little bit of research really quick. And the style we're going with is actually Persian. And that's going to be quite a bit of shapes that don't fit well with Minecraft, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge, but I think we can do it. So it's going to be archways that sort of circle at the top rather than arch at the top. A lot of circular sort of pillars and stuff, much like you would see in Greek architecture, but with color at the top. So we're going to be doing we're going to need some wool. I guess we could use terracotta. But I'm going to need to research that. So, at the start, we'll just go with sandstone. But then we'll come back through and really make it look nice. But I'm excited. I want to make this very deserty and very beautiful and nice. So, anyways, guys, I'm going to get to work at destroying these buildings and leaving all of our villagers homeless, and in the process annoying them with this bell. But until next time, happy mining and crafting.